Okay, that was done. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is motion to recess the Commissioners meeting to hold a retirement board meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
No, you gotta do that.
Hold a retirement board meeting in order.
Motion.
Motion and second, all in favor? Motion to approve the September 17th, 2025 agenda.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the August 20th, 2025 minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, motion to approve refunds of contributions to employees no longer with the county, and there are 7 individuals listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following retirements, and there are 3 individuals listed.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the following invoices for payment. Horn Ferry, $5,627. Horn Ferry, $643.80. Biondo Investment Advisors, $56,963.51. Broadridge Matrix Trust Company, $13,697.75. Foster and Foster, $5,627.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the retirement board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the Commissioners meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, first, we have any public comments or anything concerning today's agenda? Okay. Seeing no one, moving on to motion to approve the September 17th, 2025 agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the September 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the September 10th, 2025 conference minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the general fund and county bills of $499,959.96.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the Gypsum Moth Fund in the amount of $8,835.24.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the SRCP in the amount of $137,173.57.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve payment from the debt service in the amount of $2,922,222.86.
Motion.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor? Motion under personnel, motion to hire Jeanette Gonzalez as a full-time receptionist intake coordinator in the Public Defender's Office for a 37.5-hour work week effective for September 22nd, 2025, with benefits after 90 days. This is a replacement position.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to acknowledge receipt of a letter from District Attorney Raymond Tonkin advising that he has hired Dominique Martin as a family support advocate in the District Attorney's Office for a 37.5-hour work week, retroactive through September 15, 2025, with benefits after 90 days. This is a replacement position.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to recess the Commissioners' meeting to hold a salary board meeting.
Motion.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Salary board, motion to convene the salary board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the September 3rd and September 17th, 2025 salary board minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the hourly rate of Jeanette Gonzalez at $16.50 per hour as a full-time receptionist intake coordinator in the Public Defender's Office for a 37.5-hour work week effective September 22nd, 2025, with benefits after 90 days.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to set the annual salary of Dominique Martin at $41,925 as family support advocate in the District Attorney's Office for a 37.5-hour work week, retroactive through September 15, 2025, with benefits after 90 days.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn the salary board.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to reconvene the Commissioner meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
All business. Motion to open bids for the 2025-26 winter maintenance of county roads.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor?
Only one. Get onto the winner. Each and every year.
Drum roll, please. We're gonna call the winner off.
Griner Excavating.
Who?
Griner Excavating.
Okay.
That's good.
You want to chance to
I think we
review it?
had them until last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll just do it
For
for,
this,
we'll do it for
October 1st.
October 1st?
Yeah.
Okay. Make a motion that we table the awarding of it until October 1st.
Motion?
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor? Okay, number 2, motion to open bids for the triannual groceries and frozen food bids for the period of November 1st, 2025 through February 28th, 2025 on behalf of the correctional facility.
Motion?
Second.
Motion is second, any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Okay, first one's from Driscoll Foods.
That's bad.
$172,557.89.
This should be a correction, thank you. We have to correct, because we say, it's till- I think they mean
Oh, yes.
February 28th, 2026.
2026. Yeah.
Sorry, there's a typo. Thank you, Preston. So, can you just amend that in the motion, Tom?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Aye.
Yeah.
Okay. How many times I've read
You
this?
hear it so
Yeah.
much.
The next one is from Foods Galore. Their total bid, $143,918. Next one's from Cisco. $235,650.72. So far, each one has also included a bid bond for 10%. The next one's from Bernard Foods. Their bid, $13,555.16. And our last one from Manila. $224,643.95.
Ask for a motion to table them for the review by the correctional facility until October 3rd.
Motion?
First.
October 1st, sorry. Yeah.
Motion?
Second.
Motion is second, questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 3, motion to authorize the chairman to execute the contractor's application for payment from L.H. Reed and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $7,117.30 for the Bennett Avenue 1 interior renovation project.
Motion?
Second.
Motion is second, any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute the contractor's application of payment from E.R. Lindy Corp. Construction Corp. in the amount of $15,245.60 for the Bennett Avenue paving project.
Motion?
Second, any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the dirt and gravel and low volume road maintenance project amendment number 1 to the agreement between Pike County Conservation District and Pike County.
Motion?
Second.
Motion is second, any questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Under new business, motion to adopt resolution number 2525, a resolution of the County of Pike addressing the consequences of the missed Commonwealth budget deadlines.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Questions? All in favor? Crystal will read this.
Whereas the counties, school districts, and municipalities of Pennsylvania must enact timely budgets every year, and whereas the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania has missed at least a dozen budget deadlines in the last 25 years, and whereas these delays have cost county taxpayers, with counties often not reimbursed for the financial impacts of budget delays, and whereas many counties have been forced to borrow money to continue operations due to these delays, and whereas severe delays in the past have threatened to increase property taxes for county residents, with the potential for this to occur again in 2026, and whereas the failure of the governor and legislature to pass a budget on time exacerbates these issues, and whereas the Pennsylvania House and Senate have recessed until after Labor Day, leaving counties to guess the entire 12 months of the Commonwealth budget for 2026, which is an unjust burden. And whereas the current system is deemed irresponsible and detrimental to the welfare of county taxpayers. Now therefore be it resolved that the County of Pike urges the governor, and specifically the legislature, I added that word, of Pennsylvania to prioritize their responsibilities and work collaboratively to finalize a budget without further delay. And be it further resolved that the governor and the legislature should not adjourn until a budget is in place, ensuring the fiscal stability of counties and protecting our mutual constituents from undue financial strain. Adopted the 17th day of September 2025 by the Board of Commissioners of the County of Pike.
Thank you, Krista. So I just want to explain one thing. There's thing here about the county is forced to borrow money. People need to know that, the residents need to know that, yes, we can borrow money during the year, but we cannot have lines of credit that extend past the 31st of December. So while we can borrow some money to help pay for some of these bills, we have to pay it back before the end of the year. That, as you can just imagine, if we don't have the money, how do we borrow money that we don't have? They put the counties in really tough positions here when it comes to these type of things, because the only thing we can do then is to not pay our vendors. And I'm going to talk about county services, things like where we get shared money from the state and children and youth and many of these other directions, transportation. We're not there yet with this county, but they need to pick up the game and get this budget passed, or do something. You know, I know there's some talk in Harrisburg where they're going to put some type of, I don't know if it's a resolution or something that would allow them to continue on last year's budget to at least pay the bills and let them go. Do something, but don't leave us counties sitting out here, because we're the ones that have to address these concerns. They don't, you know, and I know that all our legislators are very aware of this, but they all have to figure this out together. This isn't one party against another. This is, you know, as the resolution says, they got to do their job, figure this out, you know. Whether it's all of them or it's leadership or whoever it is in Harrisburg, they need to step up and do their job, because it can have great impact on residents. And most times, those residents are the ones that are most in need. They aren't necessarily the people sitting in this room. It's people that really are struggling in this world and need resources that the state and the county provide to them. So,
If I may mention briefly.
Sure.
I also just want to touch on the fact that 1 in 6 of our neighbors receive SNAP benefits, and to look at that potential reduction for them. And we have proud neighbors, right? Nobody wants to just announce that they're receiving these benefits. It's really distressing. And when you look at our aging department, we're looking at cuts, we're looking at increased caseload for abuse and neglect and things like that how do we handle this? And we're also looking at potential reduction in services, which include our Meals on Wheels deliveries. So these are things that impact real people every day. And the tax money that goes up north to Harrisburg pays these folks salaries. We must do better. We must do our jobs. We must be responsible.
Okay.
Hey Matt, can you talk just very briefly about how, if this does continue, you know, what are specifically some of the things that the county residents can see happening here?
Well, you know, when it starts to come to services like children and youth and all that, we won't, it really, I would hope that the vendors will continue to work with us, right, where they're providing much needed services, but we won't be able to pay them. You know, we had a meeting yesterday with transportation. He seems to be okay so far. He's not sounding the alarms yet, but what we're telling him is let's not wait until we have, you know, a fire-alarm fire going on here. So, you know, it's hard. I don't want to speculate of what can happen, because Each day that goes on that we slowly maybe not getting the state funding could cause something that I don't want to speak to that I could be in error about. But it's a concerning issue. It's a concerning issue. This resolution that we're reading isn't just like Pike County. It's all 67 counties in the state are facing the same dilemma. I know Wayne just did it, so I don't know, at this moment, we're okay, right? But that doesn't mean that next week we're not going to be okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 2, motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to Ruptal Patel in the amount of $2,805 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Home Program payment voucher payable to the Pike County Recorder of Deeds in the amount of $58.75 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor? Motion to approve the following human service payment vouchers on behalf of the Office of Human Services. Whole home repairs in the amount of $500 and fair in the amount of $166.35.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve Pike County Rental Assistance Contract number 64 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Pike County Rental Assistance Contract number 65 on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the Housing Rehabilitation Lien on behalf of the Office of Human Services.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the Medical Assistance Transportation Program Participation Grant Agreement and assurance of compliance on behalf of the Transportation Department.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to execute the Share Housing Counselor Agreement on behalf of the Area Agency on Aging.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the request for quotations from Morgan Site Contractors.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to authorize the chairman to execute local CASA program funding agreement, congressionally directed Community Program 2024 on behalf of the CASA of Pike County.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
And just under miscellaneous again is the Penn State extension of calendars. But there's one last thing I just want to direct to the community, and that is recently, we have been hearing different groups talk to us about the bridges and that in this county and how we're addressing that issue. This is not easy stuff to deal with. I'm just going to give you a little highlight. The county owns 17 bridges, 3 dams. I'm going to say 1.5 miles of road that really is significant, Owego Turnpike, and 2 other smaller roads up by Jehola Falls, which we just had a dirt and gravel grant come through and take care of that. And another little section here and there, but very inconsequential roads. But I just want to make sure, because people I think are confused on what the county is doing when it comes to bridges and roads. So I'm just going to read through something that we've put together. And you'll get the gist when I read it. So the Pike County has invested $3.7 million in bridges and roads since 2015. Since 2015, Pike County has invested more than $3.7 million from mixed-use funding sources, including county-owned bridges and roads, addressing both emergency needs and long-term infrastructure improvements. While these improvements are significant, future repair and replacement needs far exceed available resources, requiring the county to prioritize projects that ensure public safety, emergency access, and responsible use of taxpayer funds. So that 3.7, I'm going to go through a few of what I highlighted as things that we spent a lot of money on or that were important. Investments in 2015. Owego Turnpike, the paving project, which is the 1.5 miles. This is a bus route and a major thoroughfare for residents. $630,000. The Mink Pond Bridge down in Lehman Township. This was done in this was $447,000. Emergency repair after one side of the bridge collapsed, funded from the general fund, and this was before the $5 fee for local use revenue. That is the bridge. That is the single road that leads into a number of homes in that region. So, without that bridge, they were forced to use a private road, and that turned into a bit of a dilemma because if you owned a private road, you don't want to have that used as public access. Kimball's Bridge up in Palmyra and Lackawaxen, over $700,000. At one point, we repaired that temporarily for a couple $100,000, put what we'll call a temporary crutch underneath it because it was in that bad of shape. That When we took that bridge and closed it, how many miles was the detour? It was massive. 8 or 9 miles all the way through Hawley. So, these bridges that we talk about here are impacting many residents. East Sugar Mountain Bridge in Lehman, this is just maintenance, $160,000. Springbrook Road, which was just completed, that was a $1.4 million replacement of a bridge that was built in 1916. That is literally the only way in to probably 100 or 200 homes back in that area of Dingman Township, part of Shahola. Creek Road Bridge, again in Lehman, $155,000 in maintenance. That is not even just maintenance on it. A full replacement, which is going to be needed at some point, is
Very
going
soon.
to cost $4 million. The complete list of all bridges and road projects accounting for the 3.7 is available. If people want to see it, they can. The projects listed above are just some most significant highlights. What are we doing right now? Current projects. Shahola Falls Road Bridge, funded by a $2 million state match grant to Pike County. Shahola Falls Road Bridge, Carlton Road Bridge, and Tom's Creek. Tom's Creek is on the getting ready to be completed. That is an $800,000 project. The other two that I mentioned there, when we put in the $5 registration fee, we were given a match by the state of $2 million. Those $2 million are being used to do Shahola Falls Road and Carlton Road Bridge. So that was like our, that was the reward for putting in that $5 registration. The reason those roads is because to use that funds, we have to meet federal guidelines. And federal guidelines sometimes mean that we have to straighten roads, we have to take out certain curvatures in it, and that can cost an enormous amount of money. Both of these bridges did not require that, so that's why we chose them to be done. But both of them are service. The Shahola Falls Bridge, again, you take that bridge out, you're going to cause a massive detour for the people that live on that road. Upcoming projects, which are in the queue, Winona Falls Bridge Road, superstructure replacement, $3.5 million. A replacement, $8 to $12 million. That is the bridge that runs between Pike and Monroe County. East Sugar Mountain Bridge, $1.5 million for a full restoration. Harford Street over the Salt Hill, which is down below by Metz's ice plant. We just were noticed by PennDOT that is a zero as far as what its deterioration is. That's the lowest it can be. If you go down there, you'll see that we put up barriers to make it into a one-lane bridge. In fact, you just saw on our agenda, we just awarded to Morgan Site Construction. That was a $10,000 bill to go down there and just put up some barriers so we can direct the traffic to one side. Replacing that bridge, $1.5 million. Church Road Bridge, which is again down in, that's in Lackawaxen, $1 million. To agree, all the Pike County bridges need some level of repair and maintenance, which is why the county must be very selective in how it spends its limited funds. The upcoming projects listed are among the few that require urgent attention. Project timelines, to just give people a sense of how long these things take. It's not uncommon for a bridge replacement to take 10 plus years from the time the need is identified till the project is fully completed. Infrastructure projects take years, sometimes decades to complete. Here's some examples. Mott Street, which many of us remember was closed for decades. Now that is a walking bridge. It was in 2019. The funding is going. That was made into a walking bridge. Springbrook Road Bridge, work started on it in 2001. It was just finished in 2025. So the funding sources, what we have, $5 fee for use generates about $350,000 per year. 2017. I explained to you where we spent it. So it's not like there's a whole lot of money when I just rattled off those other monies. And now we need to go to the state to ask them to put it on the tip. But even when they do it on the state, they're going to prioritize these. They're going to say that these bridges are the most important. And the prioritization comes down to traffic volume, single road access, critical for many homes and emergency and bus routes. Some structures, and now we're just going to point to this one because this is what drove this, some structures as the Broad Street Bridge do not meet these criteria. That bridge does not serve buses, emergency vehicles, or a sole access point. As such, it is not a priority for the scarce PennDOT or county funds. So I know it's been in the papers that we're gonna close it. We don't take this lightly to close things like this, but when I just read off all those numbers, where would you like us to find the money to repair a bridge that literally serves no one? And I, as a commissioner, can't go to PennDOT and say, give me money to make that into a drivable bridge. I'll go to PennDOT and ask them to give us money to turn it into a walking bridge like we did for Mott Street, and that's how we got it out of this office. And that's what we plan on doing there. But I just thought it's important that we put this out there so people understand. This will be reported again tomorrow at the Road Task Force, because I know there's some people coming there to demand that we get money to repair that bridge. They need to see this. And then I will just say this, if those people want to repair the bridge, we will sign the deed tomorrow. They can have the bridge. If there's any questions?
I have a good question, Matt. You make a strong case for all the money that you have to spend versus prioritization. Can you talk a little bit about, instead of just the bridges themselves, talk to me about the infrastructure needs in the county? And you're a historian here. You got a lot of old bridges. In Pennsylvania. What's the 30,000 foot view here? In other words, how challenging is fixing infrastructure in this state right now?
It is, in the state and the county. So, we're a small microcosm of the state of how you're going to deal with this. When we meet with the engineer and he comes in here, he works through this. And then we sit there and listen. So, what's the 30,000 view now is to say, okay, which bridges out of those 17 are the most critical? And then where do we put them on the list? I touch on these bridges down in Lehman because some of them are really critical. Granted, the bridge is down there by Metz's ice plant. While we need to address that bridge for maybe some safety reasons, when you put it all in the perspective of everything and that bridge and a bridge that services 1,500 people a day, well, you're going to put the 1,500 people a day, vehicles a day, over that bridge. So that's what we struggle with here. It's not we have favorites, it's just how we have to spend the money. Springbrook Road was going to be, could have been just as detrimental as what I told you about Mink Pond. The advantage of Mink Pond was there was at least a private road to get back in there. In the case of Springbrook Road, that bridge went out. Then never mind, you'd have to put in an emergency bridge. Now you'd be spending money. Now we'd be, this would be a 5-alarm fire that we'd have to be dealing with because you have people back on that road that need, never mind they have to get out and go to work. They need an ambulance or a fire truck to get back there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Any other questions? Motion to adjourn.